Hello and welcome to our special dialogue with me, Valerina Daniel. Indonesia has made a significant achievement as Salak Sibetan agroforestry in Bali has been officially designated as Globally Agricultural Heritage System by the Food and Agriculture Organization, or FAO. Why is this important and how can it contribute more to the livelihood of the local communities? Let's talk more about this with the FAO representative to Indonesia and Timor-Leste, Mr. Rajendra Aryal. Hello, Mr. Rajendra. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Valerina, for giving me this opportunity to come over to the studio and talk to you.
Our pleasure. So before we start our conversation, I would like to inform more our audience about this program. So in a significant achievement for Indonesia, the Salak Sibetan agroforestry has officially been designated as GIAS, or Globally Important Agricultural Heritage System site by the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO.
The Salak Sibetan agroforestry located in Bali is known for its unique and sustainable farming practices, particularly the cultivation of salak or snake fruit in harmony with local ecosystems. This recognition as a globally important agricultural heritage system, or GIAHS, highlights the region's role in preserving biodiversity while promoting sustainable agriculture. This designation emphasizes the importance of traditional farming practices and their role in addressing global challenges like food security and climate change. The Salak Sibetan agroforestry system is now officially part of a global network of heritage sites recognized for their agricultural significance. The recognition also boosts the region's efforts to promote sustainable tourism and increase the value of local agriculture. A proud moment for Indonesia as Salak Sibetan secures its place as a key player in the global effort to preserve agricultural heritage.
The Bali Salak agroforestry system is recognized by the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, as a globally important agricultural heritage system, or GIAS. And here are some facts about Salak agroforestry in Bali. All right, we have learned about the Salak Sibetan site, and now we're going to continue our conversation with Mr. Rajendra Aryal. Sir, can you please tell us what is agricultural heritage and why is it important?
Okay, let's start with the word culture. Agriculture has something called culture. So agriculture is actually the culture of human beings that have started farming, say, for the last 10,000 years. And why it is important? Agriculture heritage. Agriculture heritage is something like, the traditional systems of agriculture that has knowledge, skills, and the way the people manage the environment, the climate, and these skills and knowledge have passed from generation to generations, say, over the centuries. And that has very specific features, such as, water management system, activities to mitigate the impacts of climate change, ensuring the food security, ensuring the nutrition. So combining the whole that has come down from the generation as a heritage. And that is what we call as agriculture heritage.
All right. So it's basically because it has been happening for a long time.
Right.
And it's not stopping now. So that's why it is called agriculture heritage system. All right. So what is the FAO Globally Important Agriculture Heritage System, or GIAS program? And what are the criteria for a farming system to be included, like the one in Bali?
Right. People have heard about UNESCO World Heritage Site. So FAO also has something similar. It started in 2002. The globally important agricultural heritage system is to recognize some of the systems that have the proper integration of not only farming practices, but also the rich cultural heritage, you know, the water management practices, sustainable livelihoods, and also other additional activities, including, say, handicraft manufacturing, or any farming related activities, as well as architecture. So it's a combination. And the criteria for selection of agricultural heritage site is actually looking at all these elements. It's not only food security and nutrition, but also the practices that people have been practicing, and also not only acknowledging a GIAS site as sort of for the sake of acknowledging. It's a sort of like an inspiration for the future generation, like what our ancestors have developed, what is maintained at the current, at the present level by the current generation, and how this can be handed over to the new generation, like to our children and grandchildren.
All right.
So that is the objective of acknowledging or recognizing the globally important agriculture heritage systems.
How many countries or how many sites have been included in this GIAS system?
Altogether, there are 28 countries that have got GIAS designation sites. There are 89 altogether. GIAS sites are recognized. And the Karangasem agroforestry system in Bali is the first ever site in Indonesia. So Indonesia is one of the latest additions in the list of 28 countries.
Yeah, so this is the first time, but I'm sure there's going to be a lot more sites in Indonesia that can be acknowledged or included in this GIAS, right?
Absolutely.
And then we absolutely sure that this can be also a lesson learned, or maybe an exchange learning system for other countries as well, because you said that there are 28 sites, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to talk more about that, about the possibilities for this GIAS site to be a center for learning, for implementing a good agriculture culture in Indonesia and also in other countries. We'll be back with our conversation in our special dialogue. Please stay with us. Welcome back to TV Our World Special Dialogue with me, Valerina Daniel, with our theme today, From Bali to the World, honoring Karangasem'S agricultural heritage. So we have Mr. Rajendra Aryal here today to talk more about this GIAS program. So Mr. Rajendra, why was the Salak agroforestry system in Karangasem, Bali selected for this designation? What makes this system unique and globally significant?
Right. The Karangasem Bali, the agroforestry system is a sort of like a time-tested solution, which has been it started in practice since the 14th century, and it not only reflects the food security and nutrition, but it also reflects the rich cultural heritage of Bali. The great philosophy of Trihita Karana. As you know, UNESCO has also acknowledged this Trihita Karana. So this is the philosophy. Then this Karangasem agroforestry system conserves the land, it conserves the biodiversity, it conserves the water. You can see also the Subak Abhiyan irrigation systems there. And it has 5 strata of cultivation, starting from the forest up to the rice. And that is the uniqueness of conserving the biodiversity, conserving the soil, conserving the water, and also, you know, facing the impacts of climate change in a very integrated agriculture system. Also through intercropping. Intercropping means it's not only salak grown there, it's also other crops that are grown there. So the combination of all these factors have really led Karangasem Bali, Karangasem agroforestry system in Bali as one of the globally important agriculture heritage sites. And another beauty of this place is, as you can see, the traditional dances in Bali, the expressions you can see, especially if you see, you know, probably I'm not the expert to talk about it, but what I understand is the expressions when in the Balinese dance during the harvest is very unique.
So this is also part of the criteria?
It's part of the criteria because it looks at all the different elements. And then it has a process to undergo.
I see.
And then once the process is completed, you know, it takes quite some time to really get this GIAS designated.
Okay.
But
so,
it looks at different criteria, as you say.
Okay. What role does traditional knowledge play in the management of the Salak agroforestry system and its sustainability?
Well, the traditional knowledge is like, as you say, we mentioned about Trihita Karana. You know, the Trihita Karana is to maintain the peace and harmony while ensuring food security and nutrition for all. It's the relationship between human and human. It's a relationship between human and God, and it's between human and nature, human and environment. So this is all well integrated. And this is something very unique. I have worked in countries facing conflicts. You know, conflict can trigger food insecurity, and it's the other way around. Food insecurity can also trigger the conflict. But the uniqueness of this Karangasem agroforestry system is the philosophy of Trihita Karana and Avik, how you maintain it. You know, so the traditional skills, the traditional knowledge, the traditional culture, these all have played a significant role in maintaining this agroforestry system for generations.
Okay. All right. So previously, before we have the break, I already mentioned that this site can also be a center for learning, exchange learning between Indonesia and other countries. So what does this recognition mean for Indonesia, do you think?
See, peace and harmony are two extremely important elements. Food security is national security. This is how I look at it. So when people live in harmony and peace and ensure that food security and nutrition, there will be peace. There will be no conflict. And this uniqueness that Karangasem agroforestry system offers, I think, can be a very good example for the world. But having said that, there could be also other good practices, you know, that we can learn from. But how I see this is like the whole agriculture practice embedded within the philosophy of Trihita Karana. I think this is something that is unique, that we can really bring to the world.
All right. So do you think this decision, as including the Salak Sibetan in the GIAS side, will play a significant role in increasing the livelihood of the local communities in Bali?
Yes, you know, this Salak agroforestry system, as I said, it has 5 different strata of agriculture system, you know, producing different crops. There are 14 varieties of salak produced there. And the people have been practicing circular economy. Nowadays we use the word called circular economy. You know, this is something that there is zero waste. This practice is in existence there for centuries. Meaning salak, you know, you use the salak, the good salak as fruit. Then some other quality salak can also be used as animal feed. Then the salak beads can be used for coffee. They are already producing coffee. Salak skin, they are using for cosmetics. You know, and there is also the salak wine and other form of liquors produced. So this is the concept of circular economy, which is in existence. And now this GIAS has helped us document it also. in a proper way.
Okay.
And then conservation of water, as I said, Karangasem is a relatively dry area. But the Subak Abyan irrigation system helps manage the water and use the water in proper way, also to keep the soil healthy, nutrient, and provide food security, and I mean the essential food needs. And then there's also livestock practice there, so it's a combination of everything.
So when we talk about Salak Sibetan side, as included in the GIAS, it doesn't mean that only talks about the Salak itself. But
no, that's why it's called systems. Globally important agricultural heritage systems. Salak is definitely the major crop, that people produce, but there are also other crops produced in different strata. And that is the uniqueness. Plus, there is also this rich cultural practice. There are temples, how people go, how people pray, how people get together, Again, coming back to the philosophy of Trihita Karana, this whole peace and harmony that is existing, respecting each other, because people help people, right? And then what you get, the food you get from the environment, the water you get from the environment, then you respect the environment, then you pray to the God for protecting all of the people.
Okay, that's a very interesting concept, and I think it's going to be useful if everyone or every agricultural system implement that. Don't you think so?
Well, you see, every agroforestry system or agricultural system has its own uniqueness. I mean, Indonesia might have so many other such systems. I think now we have to start the process.
Okay.
And, maybe another site has another unique feature or, characteristics. We need to document that together. But what I see in Karangasem, Bali is like something that has been in practice for generations. And this has already been a sort of like a system of living for people for centuries, and I think others can learn.
All right. So Salak Agroforestry System in Karangasem, Bali was designated on the 19th of September 2024. How will it be in the future, or what is going to be the next step after it is included as in the GIAS? We will talk about that more after the commercial break. Welcome back to our special dialogue with me, Valerina Daniel, and we still have Mr. Rajendra Aryal, the FAO representative to Indonesia and Timor-Leste. Mr. Rajendra, how does the Salak agroforestry system in Karangasem contribute to environmental benefits within the system and beyond, especially on carbon stock, biodiversity, water conservation, and soil health?
Yeah, this is very interesting and important question. Salak agroforestry system, it's an integrated farming system, and that can absorb the carbon. Probably you know that food systems produce 1/3 of the global greenhouse gas, and this is a very perfect example how carbon can be absorbed. Carbon sequestration, that is first environmental benefit. Second is, we talked about water conservation. This has the Subak Abyan irrigation system that is in existence for century. Being a dry area, this system has been able to conserve the water and provide water for irrigation. Number 3, it's a very interesting catchment, and this catchment, the 5 strata, has been able to retain the water, not only improving the soil health or nutrition, but also reducing the risk of erosion. And another important element of this Salak agroforestry system in Karangasem is the avig-avig. We talk about avig-avig. That somehow prevents people from land conversion. We have seen that in Bali, in other places, agricultural land is converted into other forms. And that not only disturbs that particular land, but that disturbs the whole catchment. And at the moment, so far, this is not happening in Karangasem. And when I was talking to the farmers there, they said, no, we will not allow land conversion. So that is another big environment benefits. And you ask about like, how can this be an example for other parts of the world? I think this is also another example, not only, for Bali, but also for other parts of the world.
Okay, good to hear
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
What negative impact could arise if the system becomes unsustainable, like land sales, conversion, just like you said, or using chemicals or monocultures?
You see, if we disturb it, then first of all, the loss of biodiversity. That place has very rich biodiversity, with crops and any form. So if it is disturbed, the biodiversity will be affected. Then that will, there are like 10 villages, customary villages along the Buhu River. And the impact could be not only felt in that particular Sibetan village, the impact could be felt also in other villages. So that's why we need to be very particularly cautious about it. Let's maintain the biodiversity. Then this would further somehow aggravate declination of cultural heritage. What we are proud of today with the agricultural heritage, with the disturbance, then that will be lost. And then this will have like long-term ecological damages that will have more impact on the livelihood of the people who are dependent on farming. And then there could be also out-migration of people that we have seen in many parts of the world. Then the young people will start leaving, looking for alternative livelihood options. So that's why having this GIAS, as I said, it not only talks about conservation or preservation at the current time, but also for the next generation, giving a message that let's conserve it further and continue with what we have. Yeah. Otherwise, it will have negative environmental consequences.
And that message is not applied only in Indonesia, but also globally.
Also globally, as we have seen the examples all across the world, how environmental degradation has also impacted on out-migration of people. If there's no water, people cannot live there. They cannot survive.
Yeah, that's true. So that means this is very important. Are there any plans to replicate this agroforestry model in other parts of Indonesia or other countries?
Well, we also have at FAO something called NIAS, Nationally Important Agriculture Heritage Site. There are countries such as Brazil. They have also started acknowledging or recognizing the other agriculture heritage site across the country. First designate them as NIAS, and then later, push them at the global level to also get designated as GIAS. So I think that is something that we could do, as a next immediate step. Second is like look for other places in Indonesia where we can propose them as another GIAS site. It could be anywhere. We need to do some work together, but also support the currently designated GIAS site with other support. Like what sort of technical support can be provided, because people are already practicing different forms of tourism, such as like homestay, and how we can connect the people there with financing opportunities. How can we unlock financing? How can we unlock other technical support available at the country level? And then now bringing this to the global level, actually, we are already discussing with some countries, like for instance, Chile. Chile has something called Chiloy agroforestry system. And when we discussed with Chile, they said, wow, we might have some similarities. Why don't we try to exchange information and exchange sharing the information? Because Chiloy agroforestry system is in existence for last 10 years. Maybe they have done something good, which we can try to learn for Karangasem agroforestry system,
Right.
So there is also an opportunity to learn from each other.
Okay. So what can you recommend to the Indonesian government and also the local communities in order to be able to create this NIAS and then later on include it in the GIAS?
I think we need to first identify the sites, and we need to work very closely with the local communities. We need to work with the local governments, and also we need to get the support from the central government, because this is a rigorous process. Like GIAS, it took us for more than 2 years to get this GIAS designation. It has to be like, the proposals need to be made at the international quality level, and then we get the feedback, and then you incorporate all the comments received from that scientific advisory group, we say. So we have to go through a process. So in order to do that, maybe it's appropriate to start a system at the national level, having also like a national scientific advisory group, setting up the criteria, getting the proposals from the local level, working together with the local level, local communities and the local governments, prepare such proposals and start listing them. You know, it's quite a piece of work, but we have seen that happen also in country like Brazil, for example. And we can learn from Brazil.
Yep.
And nowadays, everything is so like quick, you know, we can organize online meetings. So actually, I'm even proposing to have an online meeting with Chile, like Ministry of Agriculture in Chile and Ministry of Agriculture in Indonesia, and FAO in Chile, FAO in Indonesia, and maybe the local government from Bali, Karangasem, connecting together and discussing.
Okay.
I think that is possible.
All right, Mr. Rajendra, thank you very much for having this conversation with us on TVR World. I'm sure everyone will be happy to listen to our conversation and to know that Indonesia is now part of the GIAS side. And hopefully, of course, we can talk more about this later on in our special dialogue in the next time. Thank you very much once again. And that's all the time we have to talk about the From Bali to the World, honoring Karangasem's agricultural heritage. Thank you for joining us today and see you next time.